Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 23rd, 2015 meeting of the Revere City Council. Will everyone please rise and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo?
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino?
Here.
Here. Councilor Guadasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas? Here. Here. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky?
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch? Here. Councilor Reardon? Here. Councilor Zambuto is absent, and Council President Powers?
Here.
Here. A quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting of March 9th, 2015.
Motion to approve. So ordered.
Calendar item number 1, the City Council will present a citation to Donald Stay in honor of Boston Harley-Davidson's grand opening.
Mr. Stay? Is he? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Some people would like me to turn the mic off so they couldn't hear me. This is a citation from the Revere City Council in acknowledgement of the grand opening of its newest and one of the finest locations in New England. Special recognition is hereby awarded to Boston Harley-Davidson. The City of Revere offers its sincerest congratulations and sends its best wishes for continued success as one of the most iconic motorcycle brands in the world. The citation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens this 23rd day of March in the year of our Lord, 2015, of the independence of the United States of America. The 238th is signed by City Clerk Ashley Melnick and City Council President John Powers. Don't go away.
Don't go away yet.
You want to say a few words?
No, I'm not. I'm camera shy.
Well, then I'll say a few words. We're very happy in the City of Revere to have Harley-Davidson here. They have located in a building that was closed for several years. It's a building that has been refurbished. I was up there along with my colleagues on opening night when they cut the ribbon, and let me say it's a great building and a great institution to have in the City of Revere, and we are very, very proud to have you here. And it's also going to help our economic development as we move forward in this city to try to bring more economic development into the city. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Charlie, you want to say something? Okay. I'd like to ask the mayor if he wants to come up here. He was part of this. He's one of the guys that negotiated this. Sure, come up here. Why not?
It's official.
I'll make it official.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I like standing up here. I'm too tall.
You want to say a few words, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, Mr. President, thank you very much. Councilors Janino and Patch, I think it's tremendous that you put this citation in. It, certainly I know is appreciated by Harley-Davidson. They have been a pleasure to work with. I think they're a real credit to the community already, and I know they've only been in operation for, a little over a month or so, a couple months. So, we're very excited and happy to have them here. And again, the way we look at it, I know, Mr. President, you and members of the council and the administration, It's one project, one piece of property at a time. This is the way we're going to build and rebuild this city. And happy to say that Howie Davidson is now part of the Revere culture and part of the Revere community. And I'm sure you'll be a great corporate citizen. We're all looking forward to working with you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I stay here, Dan? Yeah, nice photo.
Sounds good.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 2, a certificate of commendation will be awarded to Jacqueline Sheridan of Oak Island for facilitating the rescue of her father and 2 dogs from the Frozen Pines River.
Jacqueline. What's your motion? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is your dad here?
Yes, he is.
Okay, where's Dad? Can we come up here? Come on up here, Dad. Where's the certificate? Oh. You can read it mostly. Come on down, Jack. Be front and center. Right. This is a certificate of commendation, and it's in recognition of her quick thinking to facilitate the rescue of her dad, 2 dogs from the Frozen Pines River by calling 911 on February 19th, 2015. Special recognition is hereby awarded to Jacqueline Sheridan. The certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens this 23rd day of March in the year of our Lord 2015, and of the independence of the United States of America 238. It's signed by City Clerk Ashley Melnick, City Council President John Powers, and the motion was presented by City Councilor and former Mayor Robert Hass Jr.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bob, you want to say a few words?
No, other than Jacqueline is in the ROTC at the high school, well-rounded individual. When it came to looking at her dad out there in the ice and the 2 dogs, she responded immediately. So we want to congratulate you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you there.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Take it over here. They can
Yeah,
take
I was
it.
like, they're taking a picture.
Yeah.
You're over there. Shut that off.
Calendar item number 3, joint meeting of the utility companies to discuss double poles.
Where are your colleagues? They're not here.
My counterparts, Mr. President. I don't know. Ask the clerk if she got a response from my counterparts. No.
Okay.
And I have not communicated with them either. I was going to suggest, please do, Mr. President, we wait. Otherwise, Comcast, as far as it goes on the PLM and so on and so forth, we're pretty up to date.
But you can take messages back to them if my colleagues have any concerns, which I'm sure they do.
If it pleases pleases you, Mr. President, I certainly can.
Thank you. I'll start over on the right. Councilor Rigo.
I'm all set, Mr. President.
Councilor Janino. Councilor Ganasso. Well, that tells me something. You may be getting a little extra service. Councilor Marabito. Councilor Novoselsky. Pass. Councilor Patch.
I just don't see any sense of going tonight anyways, because, I mean, after the weather the last couple of months, I'm sure
It's
they
difficult.
haven't been able to update anything. So I think we should continue to another date. Thank you.
Yeah, we can. We'll have a meeting in April. Councilor Reardon?
I concur with Councilor Patch. One good reason for no one other than you being here
Vice President Zambudo.
is that nothing's been done. So at this point, and not only that, we haven't received an update, and I think this is the second time we haven't actually received anything by way of an email to our an update to our double poll summary status, which again is huh? Yeah, we haven't received an update. I know that. I think Stan is the guy that generates that. Is that accurate?
There's as I understand the councilor, there's a new system in place out in the PLM.
Get out.
I don't even know the name of the new system, and I know there's ongoing training.
Well, I've been begging anybody who'd listen to actually get a new system in, so that's actually good news. You should have let off with that.
I take credit, but it's the other company that's maintaining it.
That's okay. You're here. You get the credit.
I'll take it.
But anyway, yeah, I think we need to continue this until hopefully
Well, we'll
April.
go into April anyway.
When the
We'll have
ground's a little
regular meeting.
softer and something can actually get done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Council Vice President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say that thank you for coming, Tim, and that Tim is probably one of the most responsive guys I know. Anytime I ever reach out to him, he's there in a second, and I just want to publicly thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. I'm just have one concern. I hope you'll pass it on to Mr. Yusevich. There are two poles on Library Street, and I know right now it's very difficult with the snow, but if they could put those on a do fast list, because they've been there for a considerable length of time, and they should be taken down.
Council, do you happen to?
They have the numbers. They have the numbers. We brought it up before at the last meeting.
I'll certainly
Okay.
send that correspondence.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your attendance here this evening. As always, yourself and your group have been very cooperative working with the City Council. Thank you very much.
Calendar item number 4, hearing called is ordered on the proposed loan order in the amount of $2 million to pay additional cost of remodeling, reconstruction, and making extraordinary repairs to Harry Dello Russo Stadium.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the council. Obviously, I'm here as a proponent. This is more of a language issue than it is a financial issue. We had originally, when we received the $2.72 million grant to refurbish and rebuild the Harry Dello Russo Stadium, we had requested that, in addition to that $2.72 million, the City Council bond, or allow us to bond for up to $5.5 million. The way the loan order was written, the way the bond was written by bond counsel, said that that bond would be reduced by any grants that we may have received. So lo and behold, when it comes time to put the bond in, they're not giving us the $5.5 million that was authorized. They're giving us the $5.5 million minus the $2.72 million that we got in the grant. So we don't, we're short. Actually, we're coming in under budget for where we were, because we had requested $5.5 million. We're being reduced by $2.72 million, but we're only coming back now asking for $2 million more. So really, that bond authorization isn't going back up to the 5.5, we're just asking for another 2 right now, in addition to what we're able to bond for.
What you're saying, if I'm doing the math right in my head, it's $4.3 million? Is that?
Yeah, it's 5.5 minus 2.72.
2.3, and then, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now,
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
when we, originally approve this, wasn't part of that money to be used for St. Mary's, or is that something separate?
No, I believe that was a separate loan order. I believe, maybe, George, you might have the answer to that. I believe that was a separate loan order, Mr. President.
We, for St. Mary's, we passed a loan order of $2.1 million.
Okay.
Okay. These monies are only for Larry Dello.
Okay, so I guess,
So this actually, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but if I could just, so this actually, when you break it down the way you just did, is actually a reduction of what you originally authorized. So, but because of the take back off of the 5.5 million, we just couldn't do it. So, you know, that's not enough money. We had actually thought it was going to cost us more, but, you know, with the money that will be given once we get this assuming the council passes this 2 million, there's things that we can actually in there that we're able to do in addition to what we had hoped for also, which is, you know, buying the equipment, buying the goals, buying the sleds for the football team, you know, getting new equipment that, again, all that stuff that's long needed. Getting, I believe we're getting a machine that's going to help us keep that field in good shape, because the last thing we want to do is make this investment and then not keep it up the way that, the way that everybody would want to see it kept up. So we're going to, we're really, and we have the good fortune of having a company, Heimlich Companies, that wants to use this stadium as kind of a catalyst for them to promote their work to other cities and towns. So they're going above and beyond in terms of their work and what they want to do for the city of Revere, because it's so extensive, because we're doing the 2 new basketball courts, the 2 new tennis courts, the new regulation track, obviously the turf field, the clubhouses, the concession stands, the whole works, brand new lighting. So this will be arguably the best multi-use stadium, certainly on the North Shore, and possibly beyond. So, but again, I know maybe some of you, when you first saw the additional 2 million, you thought, geez, is this 2 million over budget? No, it's actually going to be less money than what we originally were asking for, but we definitely need this reauthorized.
so what is the total cost of the,
So it'll be 2.72 plus of the 5.5. George, do you have the exact numbers? It's the 5.5. Do you have it, Frank? I didn't bring my folder up, but.
So the total budget now would be
I think it's
7.5 million. 5.5
okay.
to 7.5.
So we're going to be using
That
4.3.
This is the grant. So
If it's 7.5, we're going to be, we got 2.7 on the grant, correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay, and the balance will be out of the $5 million. Okay. This is a public hearing, and I'm going to open this up to proponents. Are there any other proponents that would like to speak on behalf of this? Name and address, please.
My name is George Anzoni. I'm the Director of Finance for the City of Revere. I'm a proponent of this project, have been since the beginning, and also a proponent of the additional $2 million.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other proponents here?
Frank Stringy, Director of Planning and Community Development and Chairman of the Building Committee. I'm a proponent of this amendment to the loan order. And I just want to remind the City Council that the final construction cost estimate was close to $9 million for this project. And the finished construction cost will be $7.5 million. So we'll be close to $1.5 million under budget.
Okay. Any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Any opponents to the bond authorization? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors. Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a little concerned about what I've heard so far tonight, and mainly because of the fact that in the press release that the city put out announcing the Harry Dello Russo Stadium, it stated the project, quote unquote, the project will cost in the vicinity of $4 million
through the entire construction phase, and the funding from the state will cover close to 70% of the project. We're being told now, 2 years later, with a lot of fuzzy math, that the project was maybe 9 and now it's down to 7. But at the end of the day, if my math is correct, and I'm pretty sure it is, the city's take on this project has gone from $1.3 million to $4.8. There's no facts, no details in the request for $2 million, and really no explanation tonight about where this $2 million is going. It isn't an issue about the language. We all knew about the language. We voted on the language. Now, the last time this was brought up, there was a mention of the fact that we didn't get casino money and that this may have been a reason. I guess that's one question I have along a long list of questions, but really, I want to remind everybody that February 5th, 2013, this was a $4 million project. So to hear, this story about, well, the language in the bond was different or whatever, it's just not true. And I just want to remind everybody, I do know, Mr. President, that this is going to go to committee, going to go to my committee, thankfully, and I look forward to hashing this out. But the other kind of question that I have, and we had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, was the fact that in the approval of the bonds for the stadium and the McKinley School, if folks remember, we had a summit. We had a financial summit where we were showed a debt schedule over a number of years, and fiscal year 16, the debt number in terms of what our bonded debt will be with these projects was relatively tight. We had a small bottom line. Free cash would be, a very small percentage of the entire budget. I wonder, and I had asked this a couple weeks ago, what happens to that bond schedule if we add the $2 million onto it? Are there any other projects that we have kind of in the queue that are going to be this far off? A $2 million mistake is really, really big. And I don't know if it's a lack of accountability. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be some type of action taken in terms of what are we going to do with this. This isn't a language issue. This is $2 million more to the bottom line, and I want people to understand that. I want people to know that this is going to hit the taxpayer at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rigo. Councilor Hess.
I had a question, and Frank mentioned that it could have gone up to $9 million. Is that correct?
No, a little over $8 million. A little over $8 million.
$8 million, okay.
The 2.72 plus the 5.5 that presumably all of you voted for. I don't know the press release that the council was referring to. I don't remember back to 2013, but nonetheless, we don't operate from press releases. We operate from actual votes that are taken here at the council. The council voted a $5.5 million. That seems, for somebody that is in finance should understand that if you vote on a $5.5 million bond, it's more than $4 million. So, but nonetheless, so here's the options right now. Right now, you voted a $5.5 million bond. We're asking, just backing out that 2.72 and asking for 2 more, we're asking for less money than what you've already authorized. So we can turn this into drama, and you can try and make yourself sound like I am Johnny pro-taxpayer, and we'll keep doing what we're doing, which is winning budget awards and certifying $6-point-some-odd million in free cash, more than the city's ever certified, and keep trying to tell a story. Because all we're trying to do is do good things. We're not in the progress prevention business. We're trying to get things done here in the city, and if you're looking to make a headline, good luck. But right now, we're trying to build a state-of-the-art stadium for the residents of this community, and if you guys want to see it half-built, good luck. I know we're trying to do our job. So if you want to go to the president of Pop Warner, the high school football coach, the lacrosse coach, the athletic director, and tell him that you want to back off your $5.5 million vote and not pay $1 million less, hey, listen, I can't stop you from that. Good luck, But we, as far as the administration is concerned, we want to go forward with the stadium for less money than we originally asked. You can sit and read all your press releases you want. I know what was voted on. I know what the price is going to be. And I'm not going to play games up here in terms of semantics that we're reading out of the Revere Journal.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think there's anyone on this city council that wants to see the progress of that stadium deterred or taken away from the children of this community. I know I don't.
There's at least one that I've heard so far. I haven't heard everybody else.
But I think it's fair to have this hearing and ask questions.
The hearing is fine. Questions are fine. Accusations are not.
Okay.
Accusations are not.
Mr. President.
To be called disingenuous, it is a constant. This is coming from a councilor that's voted down the last two budgets, and we keep prodding along the same way the state's prodding along, the same way every other municipality. I can't say the same for the MBTA.
I don't want to get into the last two.
Not really
I don't want this to be
Mr. President.
contentious.
I don't know how the finances operate at the MBTA, but I can tell you how the finances operate here.
Councilor Rigo, Councilor, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Briefly, please.
A couple of points, and I'll ask a couple of questions. One, just a point of reference, I did not vote for the last budget.
Last two.
No, it was the last one, but fiscal year 15.
No, you voted for the last one, but
I'm not going to get into semantics about what I voted for or not.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Rigo, let's stick to the issue here before us. This is a
What
public
is the $2
hearing.
million going to?
Semantics.
What is the $2 million going to?
Okay, maybe you misunderstood the whole concept of what we're trying to do here. We're not borrowing the $5.5 million and another $2 million. We're backing out $2.72 million of the $5.5 million and asking for $2 million more because we're not getting that $5.5 million is being reduced by the grant that we received.
Right.
So we're not getting the $5.5 million. We need
the project was going to cost $4 million, and anybody who's in finance knows when you bond money, you bond extra, knowing that the project is going to cost $4 million. There was a bond of $5.5 with $1 million.
You keep going back to 4. No,
I'm
that's
going
not
to
true.
your press release. I'm talking about your press release.
Oh, so that's how you do finance, through press releases? Is that how you do finances at the MBTA, Councilor?
Apparently, this is how we govern. This is how we govern in the city. This is how we govern in the
Let's
city.
get on with the public hearing.
Talk about math.
Councilor Haas.
So the bottom line is, you cannot use the $2.5 million. 2.75.
The 2.72 comes off of the 5.5 million that you authorized.
Okay, so you're
So
up
rather
here.
than, so that 2.72, if I could, Councilor, that 2.72 comes off.
Right.
We're asking now for 2 million. Instead of the 2.72 that came off,
Right.
after we got all the numbers put together and we got all the final details on the stadium and we wanted to do everything that we could to make this a true state-of-the-art, facility for residents in this community, many of which will enjoy that. We're asking for 2 million instead of the 2.72 that was backed out. So really, it's
Right.
720,000.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You're going to eventually use the 2.75.
Yeah. High finance. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Morabito.
We already used the 2.7 from the state. That's we're at the limit of the 5.5, and we need the extra $2 million to increase that. So what happened is the way the grant came in is another problem with this and the wording. If the grant came in a different time period, then the bond council would allow us to borrow in anticipation of the notes up to a further date. However, it came in at the front end, which usually is good for a reimbursement. And because of that, what happens is that we already received the money from the state, and that had it now come off the
2.75.
Yeah.
You've already used it,
2.75. Was it 2.75?
right? It's
2.72.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a breakdown, if this is going to committee, of the expenditures?
We can get you that.
Okay, thank you. Would you get it for the subcommittee, please? Thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. President, this is going to Ways and Means.
It is.
In Ways and Means, we can review all of the questions in an orderly fashion so that we don't start charging one another with certain responsibilities. And I think we get a more factual information out, and then when we come out after that meeting, we'll know what we're going to do and how we're going to decide on what we're going to do. So I just move that we move this to Ways and Means.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. I'm going to allow the other councilors to speak. Councilor Morabito.
I was actually going to ask for a breakdown of the expenditures as well. As far as timeline, is the project right on time?
Yes, the project is on time. We got delayed a little bit because of the bad winter, so the contractor would have been in there in early March. They started again this week. The fence contractor is in there finishing the fence. So what's left to be done, completion of the basketball courts, the tennis courts, but extending the track, now that the staging area is cleared from CTA, the contractor for the schools, the contractor for the stadium can now get in there right away and regrade that end of the track and start laying down the binder for the track and then put the final rubber surface on the track. So that, the fencing, completion of the sidewalks along Park Avenue, landscaping, minor items, we're done. So we plan on having high school graduation there June 3rd. But what won't be done on June 3rd is the rubber surface along the track because it has to set for 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to have students and their families walking on that track. We're going to wait till after graduation, then put the rubber surface on the track.
So how long of a delay was that?
So we're going to be completed by early July.
So what was the original date?
By June 30th. We're right on time.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Morabito. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I understand what's going on here, and I can appreciate what happened. Question I have to whomever wants to answer it is wording like this in a standard grant, or that we can't use money towards to a bond, or in the bonds?
In the bond, as far as normal bond authorizations are concerned, the wording is usually done this way. However, it's also takes into account because you have the availability using bands. So if you didn't receive your reimbursement already, the city could go out and sell the additional $2.7 million of bands and continue with the project and come to the council later for the additional $2 million. But what happened is we received the amount up front, pretty much not up front, but at the beginning of the project, and then we have to, once we have that, we have to deduct that from the total amount of the authorization as the wording states.
Are we on any kind of time frame as far as the money that we need the money to finish the project?
Well, we need the money to finish the project. I believe, Frank, you said it's going to be completed in July, so we're going to need it.
July, I thought I heard
June.
Middle of June. Middle of June.
The
Middle
entire,
of July.
The prior project, we mentioned July, beginning of July.
Middle of July.
Okay. All right, so the end of June. So by that time, we're going to have to make progress payments to the person that's doing the contracting, so we have to need money.
But do we have enough money now to proceed until any of this money is approved?
No, I think we're going to start coming into this money, that's why this is coming issue.
What kind of time frame are we on?
Yes, well, probably within a month we're going to need this money.
So if this went into committee, because we won't be meeting again now until April 13th.
Right.
well, it's 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah, so he said he needs a month, so.
Okay. You know, Mr. President, I would have no problem voting on it tonight.
Well,
I think if you're going to put it in committee, so be it.
I think that because there are questions, I'm going to put it in committee, and with the expectation that the committee will meet on April 13th and report this out that evening.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think my colleague to my right was before me. However, thank you. Let me say a couple of things here. I got a pretty good memory. I've got a building committee member next to me. We got the head of the building committee out here. I got to take their word for the numbers, but I think when there's a press release, either from the mayor's office or wherever, I think the original guesstimate, and I say guesstimate, was somewhere around $5.5 million. That's what was talked about as a guesstimate. It was never written in stone and promised that that was the number. The number, as soon as the building committee met, was somewhere around 8. And we knew we were getting, that's 8 million. And we knew we were getting 2.7 from this grant. So I don't see this as a mistake. I see this as a project that actually went very well, under budget, beautifully performed. Everything about this project is what you want in a public construction project. We bonded $5.5 million. Now we're going to end up bonding $4.3 million in the end. So that's a reduction of over $700,000. That's, $750,000, less than what was bonded. We can talk about being concerned that bond counsel changed the rules in the middle of the game, and now we have to, redo this and all of that stuff. But I just don't like the tone of the accusations that there's something underhanded going on here, or somebody's trying to hide some kind of, because I don't see it that way. And I don't appreciate hearing it that way. Because the facts are the facts. You can listen to the people that were involved from the beginning. As soon as the building committee met, and as soon as they had actual real construction estimates, the number was somewhere around $8 million, not $4 million. I never even heard a $4 million figure before, but it's out here tonight. So my take on this is that, I would be willing to vote for this tonight because I've got all the information I need, and I know it's accurate. And I don't see anything underhanded going on here. And I like to think that I'm the protector of the taxpayer here. I like to think
Councilor Zambudo, with all due respect, I think we're all protectors of the taxpayer
I
here.
know that I brought $700,000 in this year, and we'll talk about that later. But I didn't see anybody else doing that. So my point is that I don't like to hear semantics. I like to deal in facts. We've got the facts in front of us, and they're what they were said to be, and I'm completely comfortable with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I think there's a few lessons to be learned here. First of all, we probably should have read the bond a little bit better to determine that we weren't covering for the $5 million. But as I understood it, we were bonding $5 million, at least 2 of which was expected to be used for what we didn't know would be happening, such as things that changed in the plan. And I have to say, one thing that changed in the original plan, which I'm very pleased about, is the fence that Frank alluded to, which was originally not going to be all the way around the building. And I was very unhappy of the facility, and I was very unhappy about that. But we changed that, and that was not an inexpensive proposition. We also discussed cameras and things like that were kind of on a wish list. But anybody, I mean, I'm not sure what the press release said, quote unquote press release, and I think the lesson to be learned in that is you really shouldn't put out press releases with numbers on them if you can't support that in the long run. It was immediately apparent to anybody who was involved, and Councilor Novoselsky and I were involved with Frank as well as the rest of the of the Facility Building Committee that $5 million was, at best, a hope, and we'd be doing it on the cheap. I don't think there was ever a second past the first couple of meetings there we ever thought for a moment that $5 million was going to handle it. I don't remember it going up to 8, but we certainly were looking at 7 very shortly, soon thereafter. So we felt, though, that the bond, that would be well within the restrictions of the bond. Obviously, we were hoping to get some help from the casino that never arrived. But this project right now is about where I certainly anticipated it would be. I want everybody to look at the big picture. This was a glaring need in our community. Okay, we had a facility that was just deplorable, absolutely deplorable, not a credit at all to our athletic programs, our children, or our citizens. It was wanting for a very, very long time, and now in a matter of a couple of years, we go from absolutely what may have been the worst urban facility or semi-urban facility around to probably the best. And as far as bang for your buck is concerned, you know, yeah, it's going to come down on the taxpayers, but what you're getting for it is you're not getting something that's insignificant by any means. This is going to be a credit to the city, and as I say, as I remember it, this is about where I expected it to come in at. Obviously, there was a mistake in the bonding. When I voted for that bond, I assumed I was voting for a $5 million bond simply because we needed to cover potential excess. Of course, you never expect to use the whole $5 million, I suppose, to some extent. But if that's the way it breaks, that's the way it breaks. So you know, this is merely, as far as I'm concerned, fixing an error. On the other hand, I would like, at the subcommittee meeting, it's time. We might as well put everything out on the table and find out what things are costing, and get some specifics on this. So I'd ask the city planner to come in with perhaps a chart explaining what we spent and where we're spending it, and possibly discussing some of the things that we hadn't intended to purchase that we are, such as was recently as suggested tonight. I think the specifics are going to go a long way to make people feel a lot better about this. And you know, my brother Councilor Rigo brings up some points. There were things said that we didn't really come together on at the beginning. So let's fix them now, so everybody knows what's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's going to be real happy when they get to walk on that turf field. That's all I can tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to wait for the Ways and Means. Actually, I'm ready to vote on it now. I think I'd vote for it tonight, and we should vote for it tonight. But first of all, I'm getting a little, it gets a little, I want to apologize to the people out there watching. It seems that the administration have done a fabulous job in the financing of the city. They've been awarded for it. Unfortunately, my colleague, Councilor Rigo, it seems every time a figure, he questions everything that the administration does. And I'm getting pretty sick of it. There's a way of going about it, a way of doing things. He could always go in to the finance office. He can get whatever list he wants of figures. But listen, this is a great project for the city. And what they're saying, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Thought I shut it off.
$50 fine.
I'm just saying, I don't want to laugh because I'm not in a laughing mood. We financed, the bond was obviously the bond was wrong, but the figures were right. So, you know, he could come in here and say anything, and he's going to get. It seems like every time either George Anzoni comes in, or the mayor, or Frank, they want to go after them, and I don't see why. And And again, if they have a problem with the financing, they can go into any office in City Hall and they can get their facts. So it's our job to vote on the bond, and I want this job to be done, completed. It looks fabulous. Of course, we haven't been able to see it for the last few months, but before that, people coming by just saying what a great job they're doing there. And I mean, here's a clubhouse that I sat at halftime in the '60s, and my kids were there in the '80s, and now it's long overdue. I mean, why? I don't understand. If you got to question everything that the administration does, you're wrong. And I think there's a better forum for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. With all due respect to all of my colleagues, I think that if any councilor has a question about something, they should bring it up. I'm going to ask the Director of Finance right now a question. Am I to understand that this total project, and this is just for the edification of the people watching this meeting, because there are people out there probably saying to themselves now, hey, what's going on up there, this and that, okay? Total project, $7.5 million. Am I correct? Grant, $2.7 million. Okay. Total cost to the city of Revere, $4.8 million. That's correct. Okay. And I'm going to go with that, and I'm putting that out there for the edification of everyone that's watching this meeting tonight. Okay. And I believe when it's all said and done, you're going to have a real nice project down there. I think it's something that that stadium goes back to WPA days under Franklin Roosevelt. That's when that stadium was built. So I think we're going to have a nice project. But I just want everybody to feel comfortable with this project. A lot of effort and work has gone into it. And I think every councilor up here, if they have a question, ask that question. No problem with it. If you have a question, Mr. Mayor of the City Council, ask the question. We'll answer it to the best of our ability. Okay? With that said, we're going to Ways and Means.
Calendar item number 5, hearing called is ordered relative to an ordinance further amending Section 8.16.080 of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere relative to clearance around fire hydrants.
Are there any proponents up here with regard to this public hearing? Proponents with regard to the hearing on fire hydrants? Any opponents? Sir, would you come up and state your name, please, and address? Put the mic on, please.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Jim DePaulo. I live on Revere Beach Parkway in Revere, in the section near Broadway, Revere. And I'm a senior citizen. I've lived in Revere all my life. And this past winter with all the snow we had, nobody even shoveled their sidewalks, let alone the hydrants. And there is a hydrant across from my house. And I'm just thinking to myself, what about all the senior citizens that own property in Revere? Are they going to be fined for not shoveling a hydrant when they can't even get out of their houses? And what if they've got medical issues? So if this ordinance does go through, would there be restrictions on it as far as certain people that wouldn't be fined because of their age or their ability to shovel snow? And then again, on top of that, why should it be the responsibility of the citizens to shovel out a hydrant, which is the property of the city, and also the fire department should be, even though I understand they're busy, but I don't see where that should fall on the little average citizen to have the responsibility of shoveling out a hydrant that they don't own. I mean, most people have trouble just trying to take care of their own property, shoveling their sidewalks, etc. And I don't know if this ordinance will pass or not pass. I just read in the advocate of the conditions of the ordinance, and I didn't see anything in the paper that stipulated, any exceptions to the rule as far as are senior citizens going to be involved in shoveling snow or paying a fine for that and things of that nature.
Well, let me say this to you. First of all, one of the things we're going to be doing is identifying where the hydrants are. We're going to be purchasing these flexible rods that will be attached to the hydrant probably sometime in October, November, so that if we ever do, and we may down the road experience the snowfall that we did this year, those fire hydrants will be easily identified for firefighters when they get there. Secondly, I myself have witnessed several times firefighters, when they're not on calls, and they do make a lot of calls, there's a lot of medical emergencies, accidents, etc., they were out there shoveling out the hydrants. This is going to be something that is going to be discussed in committee, and we're not looking to hurt senior citizens by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a senior citizen myself, and I don't think I would be able to go out and shovel 7 or 8 feet of snow away from a hydrant, okay? So I think our first thing is to identify the hydrants. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to discuss how this will be handled in the Public Works Subcommittee.
Okay, but another thing too, like where I live on the Parkway, the street and the sidewalk is state property. It's not the city property. But the hydrant is across the street directly. It's in a grassy area across from 15 or 16 two-family houses.
Yeah.
And so where you got different entities involved, like the state, and it's not the city, but the Revere Fire Department is the ones that comes down and flushes it out and maintains it. So there's another issue of...
They're on our system. That's why. And we want to make sure that every resident in this city is protected in the event of a fire. I mean, this year, just the other day, I read in the paper, I think there were 6 children who died in a fire. It's insane. So we're going to make sure that there is an ordinance in place, that it's a fair ordinance, because I'm sure my brother and sister councilors aren't looking to penalize people. We're looking to make sure that the citizens of this city are safe, and that the equipment, whether it be a fire engine or a fire hydrant, is operating efficiently and effectively.
Well, that sounds fine. But let me just say that in my opinion, as a resident and a taxpayer, I have property and I pay taxes. I just think it kind of smacks of Big Brother a little bit. I think there's an overreach of government trying to...
Well, you'll be entitled to come to the Public Works Subcommittee meeting, and this will all be ironed out.
Right.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Right.
Are there any other proponents? Or opponents, rather. Any other opponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors. Councilor Ganasso.
I know this, Mr. President, is going to subcommittee as it should, but I think the gentleman makes a valid point, and I think there's quite a few people that I can just see from memory being charged with this responsibility would be absolutely ludicrous. I know something has to be done, and what have we been doing all these years? And fortunately, we haven't suffered the pains of any tragedies, with the exception of this past year, and that had nothing to do with snow removal of a hydrant. I'm concerned about the nature and the wording of this particular ordinance that we will be revising. So I look forward to the subcommittee meeting, and I will take the gentleman's concerns into bearing. But and I think common sense has to prevail here. I mean, so all of us will have an opportunity to share our opinions, and I look forward to the subcommittee meeting, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Councilor Zambuto.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me say a couple of things. First of all, I can't support this ordinance. I'll say that right out front. However, I think by the motion going in, I think what it did was bring an awareness to a problem, especially when we have 7 feet of snow in the wintertime. And we've addressed part of this by ordering the identifiers for the hydrants, which is a good thing. And if somebody is a healthy, able-bodied person, it would be nice for them to shovel the hydrant out in front of their house. But some of us old-timers would have a little trouble with that. And especially the way my back has been this winter, I couldn't do it if you put a gun to my head. But we certainly don't want to put a burden on senior citizens or anybody for that matter. But I think the good news is that there's been a much bigger awareness of the problem of hydrants being buried. We've got the identifiers going on them, and hopefully those younger folks that are able-bodied will help the firefighters shovel out these hydrants. And that's where I stand on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambuto. Councilor Reardon.
Very briefly, Mr. President, I concur with Councilor Zambuto. This measure was proposed in the spirit of heightening awareness to the issue, and it was an extremely dangerous issue. As I talked to my friends in the fire department, told me they just were not able, because of the depth of the snow and the amount of the snow and the frequency of the snow, to get the hydrants clear when they created such a danger, particularly with the difficulty getting up and down the streets, which augmented the danger somewhat. I have some issues with this type of thing anyway. I don't think it's even probably constitutionally, I believe it's probably constitutionally defective in that it puts the onus on some people who don't have all of the benefit of it, and others benefit that don't have to do anything. So I can't imagine that being something that would pass muster of the equal protection requirements of the Constitution. But nonetheless, I think we really do have to think of a way to, as a community, to get, whether it's through volunteerism or through some agreement between the city public works departments, the fire department, cooperation of everybody to get these things done when they become as dangerous as, because there's nothing worse than having a fire. Really, there isn't. So I look forward to hearing about it. I'll keep an open mind, but it seems to me right now that that puts a little too much onus on some people that don't deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. And very quickly, I just want to mention that we have talked about this, I think, in terms of the comprehensive plan also that we're hoping to develop in snow removal, and the awareness of this issue around hydrants is important. While the original language of the motion did not really get into the specifics of enforcement and requirements and some of the more detailed information that we need to get into. I think it is important to have that conversation in light of what's happened this year with snow removal and snow in general, that we're going to have, I want my colleagues to keep an open mind, that we're going to have this comprehensive planning talk about snow removal, and this may be more appropriate to be a piece of that comprehensive kind of overhaul rather than of standalone ordinance. So just some food for thought, and I look forward to the conversation we have in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rigo. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I formerly lived at 155 Fenley, I was honored to do my civic duty and clean out the fire hydrant for 45 years. But basically right now, I don't think I'm in a condition, because of where it's at, to do it. All right? And I can agree, I think this should be submitted to, as part of the comprehensive plan we have with snow removal, because you have to address the whole issue together as one package. And I think in order to get superintendent up here talk about pothole repairs, which are rampant in the city, I think we have to address all of this collectively all at once. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Giannino.
Thank you. I agree with some of the comments of my colleagues. I think that this gets a conversation started, which we definitely need to have. I think we're making a lot of progressive steps into fixing the problem. You know, we purchased the markers so we can find the hydrants. And I think that there is an extent where if people are unable, there definitely needs to be circumstances that protect them, because they shouldn't be in trouble for something that they physically cannot handle. But, there are residents out there. My grandfather's in his late 70s, and he shovels our hydrant out, and he has since it's been put in that corner. So there has to be a happy medium. We have to protect those that cannot do it, and we have to, continue to encourage those that are. And I hope that we can fine-tune this to make it work for everyone, because the bottom line is, when the worst-case scenario happens and we need to access those hydrants, we need them to be in the best condition, and we need them to be as accessible as possible. So I look forward to working on this in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. That was well put. Any other councilors? Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my colleague, Councilor Haas. I'm glad you were able to do it for 45 years. I mean, I've been doing it for 32 years, having the only hydrant on my street in front of my house. And I will continue to do it as long as I'm able. But again, there are people that unfortunately can't take care of their hydrants, and we can. I don't see how we can punish people for if they're unable to do it. But I do want to make a point where if they are unable to clean a hydrant, they should make a phone call to the fire department. I mean, the chief, I know in conversation with him, have sent out trucks to clean out hydrants. That's the key, is just making people aware of who can do, who can't do it, and it's not being done. So to get the fire department down there to do it, they'll send a truck down and they'll very easily take care of it. To come out and punish people that happen to live near a hydrant that are unable to get out and shovel it, it's just not right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. I don't think anyone on the city council has that intent to punish someone who's in their 70s or 80s that can go out and possibly have a heart attack shoveling out a hydrant. That's not the intent of the motion. Was to bring awareness to the situation. It was a very bad situation. There were fire hydrants that were covered over. They couldn't possibly be identified. I had one on Sagamore Street near my house. I looked at a 12-foot stretch of snow, and I had to determine where that hydrant was. So with the new markers, that's going to make it a lot easier, and it may even give some people the incentive to go out and shovel a hydrant away, or clear a catch basin, or do something that would benefit the city. So again, this is going to the Public Works Subcommittee. All in favor, all opposed? Public Works.
Calendar item number 6, hearing called is ordered on the petition presented by National Grid for conduit locations on Beach Street at the corner of 189 Broadway.
Are there any proponents? State your name and address, please.
No. National Grid Electric.
Turn the microphone on, please.
No. National Grid Electric, 170 Medford Street in Malden. We have a petition for installing 125 feet of conduit from a manhole, electric manhole, to provide service to new developed apartments in Broadway.
This is on Beach Street near Broadway?
It's at, yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. When this is done, are they going to repave the area, compact it properly?
Yes.
And make sure that 6 months from now it isn't sinking?
Yes.
Okay. That's one thing that's very important. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in Chapter 90 money to repave streets. The money's very limited, and then the utility company comes in, digs it up, and whether it's National Grid Electric, National Grid Gas, and 6 months later the thing is sinking. So we're trying to put a stop to that. So I would ask you to keep that in mind. Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any councilors? Motion to approve the motion. The hearing.
On the application of National Grid to install conduit locations on Beach Street at the corner of 189 Broadway, Councilor Arrigo.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Haas. Yes, Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Patch. Yes, Councilor Reardon. Yes, Councilor Zambuto.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Powers.
Yes.
Yes, the petition has been approved. Calendar item number 7, communication from the Election Commissioner relative to the submission of an election calendar and warrant calling for the special election in Ward 1 for May 19th, 2015.
This will be placed on file, but I want to just mention for the edification of the residents of Ward 1, the election, there'll be no primary. It'll be an election, a runoff, and it'll be held on May 19, 2015. And I urge every resident of Ward 1 to get out there and vote and do your civic duty. Okay? Placed on file.
Calendar item number 8, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Procopio Enterprises, 20 Main Street, Saugus, Mass. as a licensed drain layer.
Appointment Subcommittee.
If I may.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Just a clarification through you to the clerk. Can we ask this company to bring in a binder because the insurance expires 4/1/15? So if we can get a binder and cover it for the year that he's going to be working for us. Thank you.
Calendar item number 9, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor make arrangements to have the damaged guardrail removed from Mills and Rice Avenues as soon as possible. In its present condition, it poses a safety hazard to the children and residents in the area. Further, that the guardrail be replaced in a timely manner.
These guardrails, and I believe I went down and counted them, there are 20 on Mills Avenue that are all splintered, broken by the plowing down there. There's probably another 10 on Rice Avenue. Very dangerous. I mean, even an adult could get hurt just bumping into one of those things or trying to climb over it or something. So I would ask that the administration get the Public Works Department down there, remove the damaged guardrail that's there, and make arrangements to have the guardrail replaced with the same pressure-treated wood that was used when they were originally installed. And I might add that these guardrails, particularly the ones on Mills Ave, were done at a cost of $90,000 by the previous administration. And I can't understand for the life of me how we can allow people plowing to go down there and put these guardrails in the condition they're in. So I would ask further that the administration look into that also. On the motion, so ordered. John?
Calendar item number 10, motion presented by Councilor Morbido, that the Revere City Council present the members of the Anti-Bullying Coalition at the Rumney Marsh Academy with certificates of commendation for their anti-bullying efforts by promoting a message of acceptance and tolerance at the RMA and volunteering in the community. Advised by the School Adjustment Counselor, Lisa Gendro, the students in the ABC Club hosted various events this year, including poster contests, banners with pledges, and were recipients of the Boston vs. Bullies educational program. The ABC Club created ornaments for the City Hall holiday tree and decorated it in theme of Lighted Up Blue for the Autism Awareness Campaign. The ABC Club and its members stand together against bullying by fostering a safe learning environment where students can build positive relationships in middle school.
Councilor Morbido.
The motion obviously speaks for itself. I'll keep my comments, I'll say my comments when we distribute the comments of the citations of recognition.
Okay. So ordered. Before we, are there any lates? Okay. Before we conclude the meeting, I'd like to make the audience the citizens of the city aware that on March 30th, there'll be no regular meeting of the city council, but there will be a meeting to discuss the water and sewer situation in the city. And our next meeting, regular meeting, will be on the 13th, I believe. Yes. April 13th. I don't know if Councilor Rigo, you're Chairman of Ways and Means, did you want to have that subcommittee meeting on April 13th?
On April 13th,
At
yes.
5 o'clock?
At 5 o'clock.
Okay, so there'll be a subcommittee meeting at 5 o'clock and a regular meeting at 6 p.m. on April 13th. Councilor Zambudo?
Mr. President, I hope you're going to wish our citizens a
I certainly am. A happy Easter and a happy Passover.
Exactly.
To all of our citizens in this city.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn? Adjourned.